Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the special event on non-local codes. I would like to tell you about the special issue of the Journal of Paradynamics and Non-Local Modeling that is associated with this event. For those who might be unfamiliar with the journal of Paradynamics and Non-Local Modeling is a traditional peer-reviewed journal published by Springer, which is the second largest publisher of technical journals. Professor Medensi and myself are the editors-in-chief, and we have a very distinguished group of associate editors and an editorial board. The scope of the journal is everything having to do with non-local stuff, including applied math, theoretical mechanics, computational mechanics, other physics that can be modeled with non-local methods, even biology and all kinds of diverse applications, numerical methods, and material modeling. So our hope is that eventually this journal will become the first choice of people working on everything related to non-local modeling. My role with the journal has given me an opportunity to think about how the journal can be of the most help to the non-local modeling community. Well, certainly we want to fulfill the traditional roles of a peer-reviewed journal. For example, making sure everyone gets the right credit for their own work, providing a permanent record of high quality research, providing helpful feedback to authors by reviewers who are knowledgeable about non-local modeling, encouraging new ideas, and occasionally providing comprehensive and detailed review articles of subjects within non-local modeling. Beyond those traditional roles, we would like to disseminate ideas in a form that other researchers can use. So if you publish a paper with a great idea and a reasonable amount of detail, it would be great if other researchers can pick up that idea and build on it while giving you appropriate credit. So that has to do with other researchers using your idea for their own work. So that's one role that we'd like to help with. Another is encouraging reproducibility in computational modeling. Reproducibility in modeling is taking on an increasingly important role as computational modeling gains a greater role in public policy and public health issues. For example, much of what we know about climate change and even the spread of COVID is derived from computational modeling. So there is concern and interest among the computational community and funding agencies in what does it mean to be reproducible for a modeling result. A quote that you often see cited is shown here by Buckheight and Donahoe, who were statisticians at Stanford. And I'll just read this. An article about computational science in a scientific publication is not the scholarship itself. It is merely the advertising of the scholarship. The actual scholarship is the complete software development environment and the complete set of instructions which generated the figures. I think this is maybe a little bit of an overstatement, but there's certainly a lot of truth in it. And what I think they're talking about is if there is a publication that somewhat describes the method and shows great results, that might not be enough to ensure reproducibility, meaning someone else can use your method to get the same results that you did in the paper that you published. Anyway, an example of this is probably something we've all run into in our careers. Is it practical for researcher Y to use the published results of researcher X? So in this scenario, researcher X writes a great paper describing their method, which shows great promise and originality and gives good results. So researcher Y tries to adopt that method for his or her own purposes, but sometimes it doesn't work out so well. Maybe researcher X forgot to describe carefully the scope and limitations of the method. Maybe researcher X didn't really describe how to get the material properties. And very often it turns out there are hidden parameters in models that the author forgets to describe in the paper, or maybe isn't even aware of if he or she is working with a large code. So researcher Y might even send an email to X asking for some details, but meanwhile, the student who did the original research has moved on to other things, and they can't find the files, they don't remember. So this is kind of something that can happen if we don't make our software available to colleagues in the community. So that's what this event is all about. Now, what the special issue is people submitting codes for this event are invited to submit papers to a special issue of the journal. And the main benefit to the authors is that it'll give other people something to cite in their own papers which use these codes. The papers can be brief. It's not expected that the authors will go into a detailed discussion of the theory, but they might want to provide a description of the purpose of the code and the method, the equations that it solves. Certainly the papers should include a URL to whatever repository contains the code. And the paper should also contain some information about an example problem that accompanies the code. If you submit a paper to the special issue, you can anticipate that will ask you to do the peer review for up to about 2 other papers. It would be great if these reviews would include trying to run the code, the example problem that the author of the code has provided in the repository. The reviews don't need to go into a lot of technical depth as you normally would try to do in a review of a typical research paper. So when you're ready to submit papers, just go to the journal site, which is shown here, and there will be an option to submit your paper to the Nonlocal Codes special issue. I think February 1st of next year is probably a reasonable target to aim for getting the papers submitted. So thank you again for listening and for participating in this important and groundbreaking event. Thank you.